they still on, schedule for the opening of, the connector from Merchant Screen to go to the thing?
As far as we know, they are. Yeah, I mean, it's nice now having the 4 lanes open, all but the last piece, so. I've not been, I know Gary, you go to the top of the hill some. Have you looked at it recently?
Saturday.
What did it look pretty good?
It looks like it's looked for about the last 3 weeks. I don't know what, they haven't done anything to that section that I can see just from my untrained eye, but they've, it's looks like it's ready to lay it down there. They got everything on it. I don't know what, I guess they're giving their attention to from Valley Home Road to exit 4 before they move on.
We can inquire and kind of see, make sure the date's still on schedule and what's going on there.
I think part of the problem they're having, they got 2 contracts. One's Blaylock that did the foundational, grade it out, get it ready. And then APAC's the one that had the paving top surface. Coordinating those 2 people, I think they're running into some issues, but last I heard was September, maybe October.
Any other? Got anything, Mary, you got anything?
No, I remembered I forgot this and jumped up and ran across here and left my mask on my desk, so I'm feeling unmasked one here. I'm sure Tony mentioned all the city.
Yeah, he's already made it. He made a very good report, Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, we're waiting to see the impact of let the mayors declare the mask mandate. And I guess Bill's talking with his county peers today about that. That'll be a complicated matter, but I'd say it's probably coming.
You think they are gonna mandate it?
Oh, I don't know. Wait and see. It's puzzling to me that the governor would say, okay, let's let the mayors make the decision, where the governor didn't believe it was worthy of a statewide decision. There's a number of responses to that, which I'll probably just keep to myself for a little while. I don't want to get on video somewhere.
Marshall, when we look at the industries, the factories in particular, how are they doing in terms of screening and when they find a case?
Yeah,
clean
so,
all
and
that?
we've had cases in industry, I won't mention who those are, and a lot of them we don't know. The ones we've heard about, generally that person's been isolated quickly. That line has generally been shut down for the day. They've hired a cleaning company to come in. They've asked that person and anybody they had contact with to stay home for a few weeks. They've actually, instead of letting them go on unemployment or something, they're just paying them their salary. So our industries have kind of stepped up and taken care of some people. And we're fortunate, you talk about, you see some of your food processors around the country, and they've had 1,000 cases, in a meat packing plant or a pork plant somewhere. And locally, I've kind of asked, what is our food guys doing? And they're screening temperatures every day. In some cases, screening temperatures at lunchtime as well. They've installed shields between workers where workers are in close contact. They've taken every precaution. And I asked them, I said, what did you do differently from these plants that have had the large outbreaks? And they said, absolutely nothing. And something like this, you hate to say it's pure luck, but in a lot of cases it is. Especially with a kind of a disease you can have asymptomatic people passing it along. Somebody may walk in without a temperature, and they may cough, and that droplet infect 100 people, and you never knew they were the person that was sick, which is I think what makes it so difficult. But locally, our industries have done pretty well. Any small cases they've had have been limited to 1 or 2. We've been very fortunate.
I think that's how you do a best job of controlling it. How seriously do you take it? and for every story of someone who goes to a ventilator in ICU, you may have 3 that say, well, I had it a day or 2, or my kid coughed a little bit, or I had some discomfort in my chest for about a week, and then I got over it. And it leads to those who don't want to take it seriously or feel like it's not the big whoop, they go to that crowd, and then the ones who take it serious. But it would seem like a herd mentality publicly would really snuff it. Just who's taking it seriously, not only at industry, but restaurants and box stores and all the places where people congregate. If there's an image of this is serious,
Yeah.
I think that would be much more impactful.
Yeah, I know early on, some of our plant managers were communicating, you know, we're fortunate that we have that cluster of manufacturers here that could talk. They shared best practices. We were passing things along from the state and the US Chamber, and, you know, trying to get them the most information we could. And we probably went a little overboard on them, but you'd rather have it than not have it, you know, early on, we thought, during something like this. So we still send a lot of that messaging out, and they're still kind of keeping them in the loop. And I was answering actually questions this morning about some of that, some guidance for industry. So that's been kind of our biggest thing, is helping, you know, hopefully those people stay safe and keep product going during this time.
Before you all came in, I was talking to Tony, and we came to the conclusion we didn't understand the figures. But for example, if you take Hammond County's total population, we've got 65,000 people, and we've tested, according to the figures y'all released, 9%. That's 5,844 people, and of that number, 337 have tested positive. But then you take, and here was my question, then you take Greene County, which has theoretically 4,000 more people than we do, but they've only tested 5.5% of the people. And I suppose the question, why are we testing? Not that we shouldn't, but why is Hammond County testing more people than anybody else, percentage-wise? Not
Yeah, I saw our numbers.
percentage-wise.
Our test numbers are really, really high.
Yeah, our test numbers are high, and as a consequence, it's way, 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 way below the state number. But the Greene County number, if you figure it out percentage-wise, they've only tested 5.5% of the total population, whereas we've tested almost 10%.
I think a lot of it goes to the strength of our health department here. You know, with
Yeah,
Sherry
right now.
Montgomery and that task force, we got together early on and started marketing that. When other counties were saying, well, we can't get a test or we don't have tests, our health department was really strong. They worked hard to keep tests, and, you know, with our hospital and Health Star, you know, and that number of tests given is probably significantly lower. You know, we talked about that early on. The reported number was only health department numbers. Between Health Star and the hospital and the private providers, we've probably given so many more than that.
That we quickly formed a task force of key people that was pretty important. But the other is we're a small county. Square mileage, our population is more compact than Greene County. And it's easier to herd folks in and be aggressive with testing. That didn't surprise me at all that we test a higher percentage than most, because we're all a little closer together. It's easier to do, but we made it easy and had drive-through testing pretty quick, and it was, we went after the tests.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Good.
Give me a status on Van Hool. Has this slowed them down greatly? And then also, what's our new home construction
So Van Hool still, their family was intended to be over here in April, and their flights got canceled for Belgium. We talked to their salespeople just a few weeks ago. They were in the office. Their buyer from Belgium has messaged me online and said he's dying to get over here. He's got to meet with companies to get things lined up. I think we're fortunate that the product line they were going to do here first is transit buses. So the demand, they've actually already pre-sold quite a few transit buses for the US, so they've got to have the plant here to make them. In Europe, they're at about 50% capacity right now on tour buses because tour bus sales have essentially stopped. So being that ours is more of a public transit system first, they say their goal is to get us up and going. I think that'll mean September, October would be probably when we're opening the roads when we'll start really rolling out there. The second house on the property right now, the brick's been removed, plumbing's disconnected, and they're working on removing that house from the site. So they'll work on, I guess the first thing they'll work on when they get over here is the bigger house. I think it was Mike Minnick's house. They're gonna maintain that as offices to start with. So that'll be the first thing I think they'll work on, and I think the goal is to start, by the fall. If all this calms down, I'm sure it could. If it stays bad, I'm sure it'll slow it down. Housing seems to be still strong. We've still got multiple developers looking at hundreds of units, so that's exciting. House sales, I joked in the office, just in my neighborhood alone, I've not lived here but 8 years, but houses are doubling in price in my neighborhood. And I joked if there's anywhere else I could move in the community, I would, but for what I would pay, I couldn't move anywhere else. But there's recently been 4 sales in my neighborhood for double the purchase price. So the stock seems to be moving pretty well. What some of the real estate agents have told us that kind of time on the market, typically in our area is anywhere from 65 to 90 days, when a house sits between the time it sells on average. We're seeing 10 to 21 days right now. So it's kind of unheard of how quickly you list a house and it's gone. I mean, we hear it a lot here, but somebody lists a house and the next day they have 4 offers and it sells for over list price, which is common in some of your bigger California markets and hot areas. But for us, a house pretty much sells $5,000 or $10,000 under what it lists for. And we're seeing houses sell for over list price now, which is nice for the area.
Yeah, we're seeing more apartments than houses in terms of what's being developed. Carlisle does have that subdivision out by the lake, out by, Windswept, that he's got some houses coming up. But we're seeing hundreds and hundreds of apartments online. Mitch Cox is closed on his property. We got plans in place for that development. Carlisle's multifamily is going very well. The one he's got going on Central Church Road, he's got phase 1 complete, and complete means people have moved in. They're filling up as quick as he can finish up an apartment. So there is definitely a demand, and I think that's remains strong.
Yeah, and what we hear from a lot of our industries, we were really short on rental stock as well. There were some rentals out there, but they were pretty dated. So we had some developers go in and fix those up. But we're excited to see some new things come online. And the new things we're seeing, it's nice to see them kind of master planning to make them walkable, to restaurants and stores. And, not everybody wants to drive everywhere. We kind of got spoiled by that, but it's nice to see some development adjacent to retail commercial so things are walkable and, a little more pedestrian friendly. So you talk about pedestrian, you see the sidewalks, out there, and that's nice. You see all the work being done in the community to make things pedestrian friendly. And, we joke here, we're 10, 20 years behind the times between a lot of other countries. And it's nice, to see that, going on in our community. A lot of people appreciate that.
Marshall, one of the last times we talked, there was a development going on county line somewhere. Jefferson, is that still moving forward?
I've seen the sign for that, but I'm not sure of the status on it. I saw they had a sign up, and they're either lots for sale or homes for sale, but I've not seen any development down there. I'm not sure.
Where's that?
I think it's in Jefferson County, but it's right on the line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know where you're going about. Any other questions for anybody? Thoughts? Not, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No moves. Second?
Second.
Adjourn.